The jungle was alive. Not just with the sounds of insects humming in the thick, humid air or the distant cries of unseen birds, but with something else, something I couldn't quite put into words. It was like the trees were watching. Like the shadows between them held secrets, whispering in a language only the dead could understand. I was 21 years old when I was sent to Vietnam in 1971. Young, strong, and full of the kind of confidence only ignorance can give. Back home, I had a girl I planned to marry, a little brother who looked up to me, and a mother who made me promise I'd come home safe. I told her not to worry. I was going to be fine. We all thought we'd be fine. But the first thing you learn in Vietnam is that nothing is fine. The heat hits you first. It's thick and relentless, pressing against your skin like a second layer of flesh. The air smells of damp earth, burning wood, and something metallic that clings to the back of your throat. Then there's the silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the kind that feels wrong, like the jungle is holding its breath, waiting. I was assigned to a small unit stationed near a village deep in the Quảng Trị province. Our job was routine: patrol, secure the perimeter, watch for movement. But nothing about this place felt routine. It didn't take long for the new guys like me to realize that the veterans, the ones who had been there for a year or more, never really talked about what they had seen. They just gave you looks. Looks that said, "You'll understand soon enough." My squad leader, Sergeant Harlan, was one of those men. He was in his late 20s but looked older, his face weathered, his eyes carrying a weight I couldn't yet comprehend. He never wasted words, never laughed at jokes, and never let his guard down, not even when we were supposed to be safe. He told me once, in a rare moment of honesty, "This place ain't like other wars, kid. It gets in your head." I didn't understand what he meant at the time, but I would. Our days blurred together in a haze of sweat, exhaustion, and tension that never really went away. Nights were worse. The jungle never slept, and neither did we, not really. Every snapped twig, every rustle in the brush sent a spike of adrenaline through my veins. I kept my rifle close, my finger always just an inch from the trigger. Sometimes I thought I saw movement in the trees, but when I blinked it was gone. Then came the night that changed everything. We were sent on a routine patrol near a stretch of jungle that even the local villagers refused to go near. They called it cursed, haunted, full of restless spirits. Most of us laughed it off. We weren't afraid of ghosts. We were afraid of men with rifles. But the way our interpreter, a quiet Vietnamese man named Bao, warned us, his voice low, his eyes dark with something like fear, stuck with me. "It's not just stories," he said. "People go in. They don't come out." Still, orders were orders. We moved in a tight formation, our boots sinking into the damp earth, the jungle closing in around us. The further we went, the quieter it got. No insects, no birds, just the sound of our own breathing, the occasional rustle of our gear. The silence pressed in on me, thick as the heat. I told myself it was just my imagination, that the jungle wasn't really swallowing us whole. And then we found it. At first, I thought it was just another abandoned campsite, the kind left behind in a hurry. But the closer we got, the more I realized something was wrong. The fire pit was still intact, the ashes cold but undisturbed. The bedrolls were still laid out, as if the men who had slept in them had just stepped away. Few canteens half full. Pack of cigarettes, one missing. But no people. No bodies. No blood. Just nothing. Sergeant Harlan motioned for us to spread out, to search the perimeter. My heart pounded as I stepped over a fallen log, scanning the undergrowth for any sign of what had happened. And that's when I saw it. A helmet, half buried in the dirt. It looked old, like it had been there for years, but that wasn't possible. The jungle would have claimed it by now, vines and moss swallowing it whole. I reached down, wiping the dirt away, and froze. There was a name scratched into the surface. A name I recognized. It belonged to a soldier I had met just weeks before, a guy named Mitchell. We had shared a cigarette, talked about home. He had told me about his little girl, how he planned to take her fishing when he got back. But Mitchell wasn't missing. Mitchell was dead. I had seen it happen. I had watched him take a bullet to the chest in an ambush days ago. I had helped carry his body back to base. So how was his helmet here? A cold shiver crawled up my spine. I turned to call out to Harlan, to tell him we needed to get out of there, but the words died in my throat. Because that's when I noticed something else. Something even worse. The jungle around us had changed. The trees looked different, twisted somehow, their branches stretching in unnatural directions. The path we had taken in was gone, swallowed by dense undergrowth that hadn't been there minutes before. And then, from somewhere deep in the trees, a voice called out. Distant. Familiar. It was Mitchell. I knew it couldn't be, but I swear on everything I had ever known. It was his voice, calling my name. I turned to Harlan, my pulse hammering in my ears. His face was pale, his eyes wide. He had heard it too. Then, just as quickly as it had come, the voice faded. And the jungle fell silent once more. We weren't alone. And whatever was out there, it wasn't human. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until my chest started burning. My hands felt cold despite the thick, humid air pressing in on us. I turned in slow, careful movements, my rifle gripped so tight my knuckles ached. The others were doing the same, searching the trees, listening. But there was nothing. Just silence. Harlan was the first to move. He raised a hand, signaling for us to fall back. His face was tight, jaw clenched like he was holding back something sharp and bitter. No one argued. We stepped carefully, retracing our steps, or at least trying to. The jungle didn't look the same. The path was gone, the way back swallowed by the thick undergrowth. I don't like this, Murph muttered under his breath. He was one of the newer guys, only a couple of months in country, but he'd already seen enough to know when something wasn't right. Shut it, Harlan snapped, but not in anger. His voice was low, controlled. He wasn't just telling Murph to be quiet. He was telling all of us. Because now we weren't just being cautious. We were being watched. I could feel it. That cold, crawling sensation at the back of my neck, the kind you get when someone's standing too close behind you. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. I wanted to tell myself it was just paranoia, that my mind was playing tricks on me, but then I saw Bao. He wasn't a soldier, not like us. He was our interpreter, a local who had been working with the Americans for over a year. He had seen things, survived things. And right now he looked terrified. His hands were shaking. His eyes darted between the trees like he expected something to step out at any second. Bao, I whispered, but he shook his head sharply. We need to leave, he muttered. Now. Harlan must have agreed because he motioned for us to pick up the pace. We moved quickly, boots crunching on the damp ground, brushing past vines and branches that seemed thicker than before. The jungle was changing around us. Or maybe it had never been what we thought it was. Then the sound came again. Mitchell's voice. Only this time it wasn't distant. It was closer, right behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly lost my footing. My rifle was up, finger on the trigger. Nothing. Just trees. Just shadows. My breathing was too loud in my ears. Heartbeats slamming against my ribs. Did you hear that? I asked, though I already knew the answer. Harlan's face was like stone. Keep moving. But then Murph stopped. He was staring off to the side, eyes wide, breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. Murph! I took a step toward him. He didn't look at me. Didn't blink. I see him, he whispered. Chill ran through me. Who? I asked even though I already knew. Murph swallowed hard. Mitchell. Harlan grabbed him by the strap of his gear and yanked him back. No, you don't, he snapped. That's not Mitchell. Now move. Murph hesitated for a second longer, then blinked like he was snapping out of something. He nodded, hurried forward, but his face was pale, sweat dripping from his temple. Bao murmured something under his breath. I didn't understand the words, but I knew a prayer when I heard one. Then, ahead of us, something moved. Not just a shadow. Not just the wind stirring the branches. Something solid. Something waiting. Harlan held up a fist, and we all froze. My grip tightened on my rifle, every muscle tensed. The jungle was thick, the moon barely cutting through the canopy above, but I could see a shape standing just ahead. Man. No uniform. No weapon. Just standing there unmoving. I couldn't see his face. Just the outline of him, barely visible through the shifting leaves. Harlan didn't hesitate. He raised his rifle. "Identify yourself," he called out, voice sharp, commanding. No answer. Just silence. Then the figure stepped back. Slowly, almost like it was gliding. Harlan cursed under his breath. He gestured for us to move, but this time we weren't just trying to get out. We were running. The jungle was shifting around us. The branches felt closer, the ground unsteady beneath our feet. I kept glancing back, but there was nothing behind us. Nothing I could see. But I could hear it. Footsteps that weren't ours. A whispering sound, just barely above the rustling leaves. And then the smell hit me. Like something had been left to decay in the heat for too long. Thick and sickly, coating my throat. Murph gagged. "What the hell is that?" Bao didn't answer. He just kept moving. I don't know how long we ran. Time didn't feel real anymore. But suddenly the jungle thinned. The trees parted, and we stumbled into a clearing. Village. Or at least what was left of one. The huts were broken, roofs caved in, walls scorched. The air was heavy, still carrying the faint scent of smoke and something else. Something worse. We weren't alone. There were figures, half hidden in the wreckage, watching. Silent. I raised my rifle. My hands were shaking. "Stand down," Harlan muttered. I barely heard him. My eyes were locked on the nearest figure. Woman. Dressed in rags. Her face was hollow, her eyes dark pits in her skull. But it wasn't just her. It was what she was holding. Helmet. Mitchell's helmet. And she was smiling. Not a friendly smile. Not a human one. A slow, stretched grin, too wide, too unnatural. My blood turned to ice. And then she spoke. In English. A voice I knew. "Why did you leave me behind?" It was Mitchell's voice. I took a step back, my breath caught in my throat. The woman tilted her head, her fingers tightening around the helmet. Then, from the shadows of the ruined village, more figures emerged. Silent. Watching. And all of them smiling. The jungle behind us felt like a wall. The village ahead felt like a trap. We were surrounded. And whatever these things were, whatever they had been before, they weren't human anymore. Harlan raised his rifle. Run. We ran. My legs burned as I pushed forward, my boots kicking up dust and debris from the ruined village. The jungle was behind us, thick and dark, but it wasn't safe. Nowhere was safe. The figures in the village, if they were even people, didn't chase us. They didn't move. They just stood there watching. Smiling. That was almost worse. Harlan led the way, his rifle held tight. His breathing sharp and controlled. Bao was right behind him, whispering something under his breath. Prayers, curses, I didn't know. Murph was struggling, his breath ragged, but he kept moving. None of us looked back. We didn't have to. We could feel them. I don't know how long we ran, but eventually we stopped near a shallow river, the water sluggish and dark. My chest ached as I bent over, hands on my knees, sucking in air. The night was still thick with heat, but my skin was cold. Murph dropped to the ground, clutching his helmet like it was the only thing keeping him together. His hands were shaking. "What the hell was that?" he rasped. No one answered. There wasn't an answer. Harlan stood near the river, scanning the tree line. His jaw was clenched so tight I thought his teeth might crack. "We're not going back that way," he finally said. I swallowed hard. "So what now?" Harlan didn't respond right away. He just stood there, staring into the jungle like he was expecting something to step out at any moment. Then, without looking at any of us, he said, "We find another way." I didn't like how he said it, like there were no good options left. Bao crouched near the river, dipping his hands into the water, letting it run through his fingers. He looked up at Harlan, his face pale. We shouldn't have come here. Harlan exhaled sharply through his nose. No kidding. But Bao shook his head. You don't understand. This place. It's not just war. It's older than that. Worse. He paused, staring down at his reflection in the water. The villagers knew. That's why they wouldn't come here. Murph let out a nervous laugh, but there was no humor in it. You're saying this place is cursed. Bao didn't look at him. I'm saying some things don't die the way they're supposed to. The word sent a chill through me. I thought about the figures in the village. About the woman with Mitchell's helmet. About the voice that wasn't his but sounded just like him. I didn't believe in ghosts. But I didn't know what else to call what we had seen. Harlan finally turned to face us. His expression was hard, unreadable. We need to get back to base. And tell them what? Yes. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. That we ran into a bunch of what? Ghosts. Harlan didn't blink. We tell them we ran into something we couldn't explain. And then we let someone else deal with it. That didn't make me feel any better. Bao stood up, wiping his wet hands on his pants. We need to move. Staying in one place is worse. Murph groaned but forced himself to his feet. I tightened my grip on my rifle and nodded. We didn't have another option. We moved along the river, keeping our steps light, our breaths quiet. The jungle loomed beside us, thick and impenetrable. Every few steps, I glanced over my shoulder. But the village was gone, swallowed by the night. But I still felt them watching. We walked for what felt like hours, but the jungle never seemed to end. It was like we were stuck in a loop, every tree looking the same as the last. The air felt heavier the deeper we went, pressing down on us like a weight. My shirt clung to my back, soaked with sweat, but I felt cold. Then, up ahead, something flickered between the trees. Light. We all stopped. Harlan raised a fist, signaling for silence. I squinted, trying to make out what it was. It wasn't fire, too steady. Not a flashlight, too dim. It glowed, shifting in color, pulsing softly. Murph exhaled. What the hell? Harlan shot him a look, and he clamped his mouth shut. Bao took a slow step forward. His face tight with something like recognition. I've seen this before, he whispered. We all turned to him. He swallowed hard, eyes fixed on the light. Long time ago, my grandfather told me stories. About places where the dead don't stay buried. Places where time doesn't move the way it should. Murph let out a shaky laugh. That's real comforting, Bao. Bao ignored him. The light. It's a warning. Warning for what? Asked. He turned to me, and in the dim glow, his face looked hollow. Russ. A branch snapped behind us. We all spun around, rifles up. Nothing. Just darkness. But then the air changed. The jungle smelled different, wrong. That same scent from before. Old and thick, like something had been dead here for a long time. I tightened my grip on my rifle. My pulse pounded in my ears. Then another sound. Blows. Breathing. Not ours. Harlan moved first. Move. Now. We ran. The trees blurred past us, the ground uneven beneath our feet. I didn't know where we were going. I just knew we had to get away from whatever was behind us. But then the light ahead of us shifted. It wasn't just floating anymore. It was moving, coming toward us. And as it got closer, I saw something in it. Shapes, faces, and one of them looked like me. I couldn't breathe. The light in front of us pulsed, shifting in color like something alive. The shapes inside it twisted, flickering, moving too fast for my mind to fully understand. But I saw enough. Faces, hands reaching. And one of them had my face. Stop. My legs locked up, my breath caught in my throat. The air around me felt thick, heavy, like it was pressing down on my chest. I wanted to look away, to close my eyes, but I couldn't. Then Harlan grabbed my arm, yanking me back so hard I almost fell. Move. His voice was sharp, cutting through the haze in my mind. I blinked. The light pulsed again, closer now. Too close. Murph let out a choked gasp. It's coming right at us. I didn't think. Ran. The ground was uneven beneath my boots, roots and rocks jutting out like the jungle itself was trying to hold me back. The air was thick, humid, but my skin was ice cold. Every part of me screamed to keep moving, to get as far away from that light as possible. Branches whipped against my arms and face, but I barely felt them. I could hear Murph just behind me, his breathing ragged. Harlan was ahead, moving fast, his rifle still in his hands. Bao was somewhere to my left, keeping low, his body moving in a way that made me think he had done this before. Run from something like this. The river was gone. The jungle felt endless. I didn't know where we were anymore. Then the air shifted. The smell of rot hit me again, so strong I gagged. The jungle around us grew darker, the trees looming, their twisted limbs stretching out like claws. The shadows between them felt deeper, like they were waiting for us. I heard something ahead. A step. West. But not ours. Harlan must have heard it too because he held up a fist, signaling us to stop. We skidded to a halt, our breaths coming in sharp gasps. For a second there was silence. Then a whisper. Whoa. Familiar. My stomach dropped. It was Mitchell's voice. I turned, my hands shaking on my rifle. The jungle behind us was thick with darkness, but I could see movement, shadows shifting. Then another whisper. This time it wasn't just Mitchell's voice. It was mine. I felt my blood go cold. Murph let out a curse. What is this? What the hell is this? No one answered. Then ahead of us the trees started to part. Slowly. Like something was pushing through them. Harlan didn't wait. He grabbed my shoulder, his grip iron tight. Oh. Now. We ran again, but I knew, deep down, I knew we weren't going to outrun it. Whatever it was. The jungle felt different now. Like we weren't just running through it, but inside something. Something alive. Then, without warning, Bao stopped. I almost crashed into him. What the hell are you doing? I hissed. But he wasn't looking at me. He was looking ahead. The clearing. It wasn't just a break in the trees. It was the village. But that wasn't possible. We had left it behind. I turned, my chest heaving. The jungle behind us stretched deep into the darkness, but somehow we were back. Murph let out a strangled sound. Oh. No, we didn't. We didn't come back this way. He was right. We had been running in a straight line. We should have been miles away. But here we were. And the village wasn't empty anymore. The figures were still there. Still watching. And they were closer now. Their smiles stretched too wide, their eyes too dark. The woman with Mitchell's helmet stood at the front. Her fingers still curled around the strap. But there was something else now. Sound. Low, deep, almost like a heartbeat. But it wasn't coming from them. It was coming from the ground beneath us. The earth seemed to pulse, vibrating under my boots. The air grew thick, buzzing like something was waking up. Then the whispering started again. Not from the figures. From everywhere. Inside my head. My own voice. It was saying something, but I couldn't understand the words. I clamped my hands over my ears, but it didn't stop. Harlan grabbed my arm, his face pale. We're leaving. Now. Bao didn't move. His eyes were locked on the village. His face unreadable. We can't leave, he said. His voice was barely a whisper. Not yet. Murph turned on him. Are you out of your damn mind? We have to get out of here. Bao didn't blink. If we run again, we'll just come back. The words sank in. He was right. I felt it deep in my gut. This place, whatever it was, wasn't going to let us leave. Not unless it wanted to. The whispering grew louder. The ground pulsed again. The figures in the village took a step forward. Then another. The woman at the front tilted her head. Her mouth moved. And in Mitchell's voice she said, "You don't belong here." Then the light behind her flickered. And something stepped out of it. The figure that stepped out of the light wasn't like the others. It was taller. Its outline flickered, shifting, like it couldn't decide what it was supposed to be. One second it looked solid, like a man in a uniform just like ours. The next, it blurred at the edges like smoke unraveling in the wind. I couldn't see its face, but I felt it looking at me. Murph let out a sharp breath. No, 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 no. His voice shook. Harlan tightened his grip on his rifle, but he didn't fire. We all knew deep down bullets wouldn't do anything. Bao took a slow step forward. His eyes locked on the shifting figure. It's not real, he whispered. The figure tilted its head. Its body flickered again, like it was struggling to hold itself together. Then, in a voice that was both distant and right next to my ear, it said, "You were never supposed to come here." The jungle around us fell silent. No wind. No insects. Even the pulsing beneath my feet seemed to stop. A cold dread settled deep in my bones. Harlan took a step back, his voice low, controlled. "We're leaving." The figure didn't move. "You already tried." The words sank into my chest like ice. Bao swallowed hard. "What do you want from us?" The figure flickered again, and for a brief second I saw its face. My own. I staggered back, my breath catching in my throat. My own eyes stared back at me, hollow and empty. Then the face twisted, shifting again, Harlan's, then Bao's, then Murph's. Over and over, like it was cycling through us, trying to decide who it really was. Murph made a choking sound, backing away so fast he nearly tripped. "Whoa. Hell no. We're not doing this." The figure's voice came again, quieter this time. "You don't leave this place. You become it." The ground trembled beneath us. The air felt too thick, pressing against my chest. The figures in the village took another step closer, their movements slow, unnatural, like puppets on invisible strings. And then, the village changed. It happened all at once, like a ripple through reality itself. The old wooden huts became new. The broken fences mended themselves. Smoke rose from chimneys that hadn't stood in decades. The jungle around us blurred, twisting, and suddenly, it wasn't this jungle anymore. It was older. The trees were different, the air felt wrong. The entire world around us shifted, and we weren't in the same place we had just been. We were in the past, or something like it. A gunshot rang out in the distance. Voices shouted. I turned sharply and saw movement. Men in uniforms. American soldiers. Running. Firing. But they didn't see us. It was like we weren't even there. Murph was shaking. I don't like this man. Bao's voice was tight. This already happened. And then I saw him. Mitchell. Alive. He was running toward us, his rifle clutched in his hands. His face streaked with dirt and sweat. He looked real. More real than the figures in the village. I took a step toward him before I could stop myself. Mitchell. He didn't hear me. Harlan grabbed my arm, yanking me back. Don't. Mitchell kept running. He passed right through us like we weren't even there. And then he fell. A single gunshot. Dark. Echoing. He hit the ground hard. His rifle slipping from his hands. His breath came in ragged gasps. Blood soaking through his uniform. Felt sick. I had seen men die before, but not like this. Not like it was happening again. I turned to the others, my voice hoarse. We're watching the past. Bao's face was pale. Whoa. We're inside it. Mitchell coughed, blood dribbling down his chin. He turned his head slightly, just enough that I could see his eyes. And then he looked right at me. You were never supposed to come here. The world snapped back. The village was gone. The jungle returned. The figures were standing still again, watching. Waiting. My head spun. My stomach lurched. It was like being yanked out of a dream, but the feeling of it still clung to me. Too real, too heavy. Murph let out a broken laugh. We're losing it. We're all losing it. Harlan's jaw clenched. Whoa. This place is trying to break us. Bao exhaled sharply, his hands trembling. It's already happened before. And it's happening again. I didn't want to understand what he meant. But I did. This wasn't just a war zone. This wasn't just a haunted jungle. This place was a trap. And it had been trapping men like us for a long, long time. Then the ground shuddered again. The whispering returned, louder now, overlapping voices tangled together, rising into something almost deafening. And from the shadows of the jungle, something moved, something big. And this time it wasn't human. The jungle trembled. The air around us grew thick, charged with something unseen, something ancient. The whispering swelled into a roar, voices overlapping, some familiar, some in languages I didn't recognize. The ground beneath my boots pulsed like a heartbeat, and I knew, deep in my bones, we had reached the point of no return. Then, from the darkness, it emerged. It was massive, its form shifting like a mirage. For a moment, it looked human. Dozens of arms, faces flickering in and out, some of them ours. Then it stretched, unraveling into something monstrous, something I couldn't describe without my mind rebelling against it. The jungle around it seemed to fold, bending inward as if reality itself was struggling to contain it. Murph let out a strangled cry. No, 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 no. Harlan raised his rifle, but we all knew bullets weren't going to stop this. Bao stood frozen, his eyes wide, his breathing shallow. I didn't know what to do. The figures in the village hadn't moved. They were still watching, their smiles eerie, their eyes empty. Then one of them, Mitchell's doppelganger, spoke again. You were never supposed to come here. The words echoed, bouncing through the jungle like a taunt. Clenched my jaw. Mo. I wasn't going to let this place take me. Then something clicked in my mind. We had been running in circles, being led back here again and again. The jungle wasn't trapping us. It was making us choose. Turn to Bao. You said we're inside the past. That this has happened before. His hands were shaking, but he nodded. Harlan's face was tense. Then how the hell do we get out? Bao swallowed hard. We have to break the cycle. The thing in the jungle shifted, its many arms stretching toward us. The air vibrated and my own voice, warped, twisted, whispered right in my ear. Stay. Mo. I gritted my teeth. We don't belong here. The figures in the village stepped forward in unison. The jungle shuddered again like it was angry. Or desperate. The massive entity loomed over us now. Its shape flickering between what it had once been and what it was now. I could see the faces trapped inside it. Soldiers, villagers, people who had walked this jungle before us and never left. Mitchell was in there. I stepped forward. Bao grabbed my arm. Don't. But I knew what I had to do. I had to reject it. This place fed on fear. It fed on those who gave into it. So I closed my eyes. And I let go. I don't accept this. The jungle seemed to flinch. I opened my eyes, and the thing before me hesitated. Its shape flickered, its many faces contorting. Murph let out a sharp breath. Holy! I took another step forward. You have no power over me. Screamed. Not with sound but with feeling. A pressure so immense it crushed against my skull, forcing me to my knees. I thought my head was going to split open. Then Bao joined me. We don't belong here, he said firmly. Harlan followed, his voice steady. We're leaving. Murph swallowed hard. Screw this place. The jungle shook violently, the light flickering. The figures in the village twisted, their bodies warping, their smiles finally fading. The world snapped. The jungle disappeared. We were standing in an open field. The sun was rising over the horizon. Birds chirped in the distance. The air smelled fresh, real. Murph turned in a slow circle. Did we? Bao exhaled shakily. We made it. The village was gone. The jungle was just a jungle again. Harlan looked at me. His face was pale, but his eyes were clear. We break the cycle. He nodded. We walk away. And so we did. We never spoke about it again. But sometimes late at night I hear the whisper. My own voice. You were never supposed to come here. We walked for miles in silence. The jungle around us was different now. Just trees, just dirt, just the sound of wind rustling through the leaves. No whispers. No shifting shadows. no pulsing beneath our feet. For the first time since we'd entered that cursed village, everything felt normal, but none of us trusted it. Not yet. Murph kept glancing over his shoulder like he expected the ground to open up and swallow us whole. Bao stayed close, his eyes scanning the trees as if he was looking for something or someone. Harlan led the way, his rifle held tight, but I could tell from the way he moved that he didn't believe we were safe. I didn't either. We didn't talk about what had happened, what we'd seen, what we'd felt. It was too soon, too raw. Maybe we were afraid that speaking it out loud would somehow pull us back in. So we just kept walking, one foot in front of the other, until the trees started thinning and the faint, distant sound of helicopters reached our ears. Murph was the first to break the silence. I don't want to say it out loud, but... Are we actually out? Harlan didn't answer right away. He just kept walking, as if stopping would somehow wake us up in that nightmare again. Then he muttered, I think so. Bao exhaled slowly. I don't feel it anymore. None of us did. The jungle had let us go. By the time we reached camp, the sun was high in the sky. Everything looked exactly as we had left it. Sandbags stacked around the perimeter, a radio antenna humming in the breeze, soldiers going about their routines. No one noticed we had been gone. Because to them, we hadn't been. The moment we stepped back into camp, it was like time had reset. Like we had never disappeared into the jungle, never stumbled into that village, never seen whatever the hell we saw. Murph was the first to realize it. He grabbed a passing soldier, a guy named Reynolds, and asked, How long have we been gone? Reynolds blinked at him. What are you talking about? You were just here this morning. Murph went pale. No, man. We left. We were in the jungle for... Harlan cut him off. Drop it. Murph snapped his head toward him. No, we weren't just here this morning, Harlan. I said drop it, Harlan repeated, his voice quiet but firm. Something in his tone shut Murph up. I looked around the camp, my heart hammering in my chest. The last thing I remembered before everything went wrong was sitting on my cot, drinking a stale cup of coffee. But that felt like days ago. Yet here we were. Like nothing had happened. Harlan nodded toward the barracks. Get some rest. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell him that we had to talk about this, that we needed to understand what had happened. But the exhaustion was settling in, deep in my bones, and I could see the same weight dragging down his shoulders. So I didn't say anything. We all went our separate ways. That night I lay on my cot, staring up at the ceiling. The jungle was quiet outside. No whispers, no flickering figures, no pulsing ground. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something had followed us back. Maybe not something we could see, but something we could feel. Murph wouldn't talk about it after that. Whenever I tried to bring it up, he'd shut down, shaking his head, saying, We made it out. That's all that matters. Bao, on the other hand, wanted to talk, but he was looking for answers I didn't have. He'd stay up late, reading reports, asking questions, trying to find any record of that village. But there was nothing. No maps. No history. Nothing. It was like it had never existed at all. Harlan never spoke of it again. It was as if, to him, it was already buried. I tried to move on. Tried to tell myself that whatever happened in that jungle was over. That it didn't matter anymore. That we had survived. But sometimes in the dead of night, I'd wake up knowing that something was standing outside my tent. And I'd hear it. A whisper. A voice I knew. My own. You were never supposed to come here. And I still wonder. Maybe we never really left.